Have you ever wondered, what if building software felt less like typing and more, I don't know, like a vibe? Today, we're going to dive into a massive shift in how we create things, where your intuition and your vision are actually your most powerful tools. Okay, let's get into it.
It's a pretty wild question, right? It totally reframes the whole process. We're moving away from worrying about every little semicolon, and instead, we're talking about expressing a feeling, a direction, a vibe. This is the big idea we're going to unpack.
So to even get started, the first thing we have to talk about is a huge change in your mindset. It's all about evolving your role. You're no longer the person just typing out commands. You're the one designing the entire thing. You're going from being a typist to being the architect.
So what exactly is vibe coding? Well, think of it like this. It's a new way of building where you're not writing every single line of code. Instead, you're more like a director. You're steering a really powerful AI using plain English and your high-level vision to make an idea real. And this slide just nails the difference. The old way, being the typist, you're stuck down in the weeds, fighting with syntax. But the new way, the architect, you get to operate at a much higher level. You're focused on the big picture, the vision, the logic, and that overall feel of what you're building. I love this metaphor because it makes it so clear. You are the executive chef. You're the one with the vision. You design the menu, you create the recipes, you know exactly what the experience should feel like. And the AI? That's your incredibly talented line cook, perfectly chopping the vegetables and plating the dish, executing your vision flawlessly.
Okay, so let's move on to the blueprint. Before any chef can actually run a kitchen, they've got to understand the fundamentals, right? Well, it's the same thing here. Before you can direct an AI, you need to have a gut feeling for a few core engineering concepts, or as we're calling them, core vibes.
And there are really three big ones you need to master. First up is modular architecture, which is just a fancy way of saying, think of your app like Legos, not one giant messy blob. Second is that classic split between front-end and back-end. And third is state management, which is basically how your app remembers stuff, like who's logged in or what's in a shopping cart.
Let's just zoom in on that second one for a second. It's super simple. The front end is the face of your application. It's everything the user can see and touch and interact with. The back end? That's the brain. That's where all the data is stored, where all the heavy lifting happens behind the scenes. Now this is where it gets really practical. The advice here is golden for working with AI. For the face, the visual part, you want to use a tool called Tailwind CSS. Why? Because AIs are just ridiculously good at writing it. And for the brain, use a service like Supabase or Firebase. This lets you totally skip the nightmare of setting up your own server and just focus on your idea. Okay, so mindset? Check. Blueprint? Check. Now, how do we actually build something without the whole thing collapsing into a mess? Well, that's where the responsible vibe loop comes into play. This is your repeatable, safe process for building. And it's a really simple three-step cycle. First, you plan with what's called a PRD. Second, you prompt the AI in tiny, manageable pieces. That's atomic prompting. And third, you save your progress constantly using the checkpoint rule. Plan, prompt, save. Let's break each one down.
Step 1 is the plan, your product requirements document. Before you do anything else, just write a simple one-page doc explaining what you're trying to build. And then, and this is the pro move, you feed that plan to another AI and ask it to critique it for you. You're using AI to find the flaws in your idea before you even start coding. So smart.
Step 2 is absolutely crucial. Atomic prompting. Here's the #1 rule. You never ask the AI to build me a social media app. That's just going to give you a giant mess. Instead, you break it way down. Ask for just the navigation bar. Okay? Got that? Now ask for the login form. Small atomic requests get you the best results, every time. In step 3 is your safety net. This is the checkpoint rule. Before you let the AI add or change anything, you save the version of your project that you know works. That way, if the AI completely messes something up or, the vibe goes wrong, you can instantly roll back to a safe spot. It's a lifesaver. All right, you've got the process down. Let's wrap this up by looking at the best tools for the job, and maybe even more importantly, the common traps, the vibe killers that you absolutely have to avoid. So here's a quick peek at the Modern Architect's toolkit. If you're generating the face, the user interface, tools like v0.dev are amazing. For writing the brain, the core logic, you'll want an AI first code editor like Cursor. And if you just want to whip up a quick app inside a chat window, something like Replit Agent is definitely the way to go.
But look, having the right tools is only half the battle, right? You also have to know what not to do. So what are these common traps that can just completely sink your project?
You got to watch out for these 3 main vibe killers. First, hard-coding secrets. Never, ever let the AI put passwords or secret API keys directly into your code. Big no-no. Second, placeholder blindness. AIs love to leave little notes like /to do, finish this logic. You have to actually find those and finish the job. And finally, the biggest one of all, over-reliance.
And this quote on the screen, this is your secret weapon against over-reliance. If an AI spits out some code and you're not totally sure what it does, you just have to ask it. Explain this to me like I'm a high schooler. It's on you to actually understand what you're building.
So when you boil it all down, here's the big takeaway. As AI gets better and better at writing the code, your value completely shifts. It's not about how fast you can type anymore. Your true value is in your vision, your logic, and your taste. You are the architect.
Which leaves us with one last, really big question to think about. If the AI is handling all the syntax, if it's becoming the typist, the line cook, what does that make us? What's the new, essential role for the human creator in a world filled with these incredibly powerful machines?